Have you ever heard of a man who looked at a doomed mission and chose to go anyway? His name was Vladimir Komarov, and in 1967, he made one of the bravest, most heartbreaking decisions in the history of space exploration. Vladimir Mikhailovich Komarov was born in 1927 in Moscow. He grew up during war, famine, and fear, but even as a boy, he dreamed of flight. After joining the Soviet Air Force, he rose quickly, not because of connections or privilege, but because of skill, intelligence, and calm under pressure. He wasn't the loudest or most political pilot, but when it came to technical ability, few could match him. By the early 1960s, Komarov became one of the Soviet Union's first cosmonauts, a pioneer in a new, terrifying chapter of human history. He flew aboard Voskhod 1, the first space mission to carry multiple crew members, and returned a national hero. He could have stopped there, a symbol of success, fame secure. But Komarov wasn't built to stop. He believed the next step, the Soyuz program, would take humanity beyond anything imagined. Spring 1967. The Soviet leadership wanted a triumph, a spectacular spaceflight to celebrate the 50th anniversary of the Bolshevik Revolution. Engineers, however, warned that the Soyuz 1 spacecraft was not ready. More than 200 known defects plagued its design. The parachute system hadn't been tested properly. Electrical circuits were unreliable. The control system sometimes failed mid-simulation. But the Kremlin demanded results. The launch date was fixed. Vladimir Komarov was chosen to fly. His backup pilot, his friend, was Yuri Gagarin, the first man in space. When Komarov read the test reports, he knew what they meant. The ship could kill him. Yet if he refused the mission, Gagarin would take his place. Komarov reportedly said, "I'm not going to kill my friend." It wasn't just loyalty. It was duty, a soldier's understanding that someone must go, and he would not let that burden fall on another. April 23, 1967. At dawn, the Soyuz 1 rocket lifted off from Baikonur Cosmodrome. Inside, Komarov sat alone, his heart rate steady. The launch was flawless for about 90 seconds. Then, one solar panel failed to deploy, starving the craft of power. The orientation sensors glitched. Without stable control, the ship spun unpredictably, the horizon twisting across Komarov's viewfinder. He fought to regain command manually, radioing back calm, precise reports. Panel 1 did not open, attempting stabilization. Even as the systems fell apart, he sounded composed, the voice of a pilot trying to save his aircraft, not panic in a coffin. Down below, engineers scrambled. Gagarin himself was at the control center, demanding updates, pleading for the mission to be aborted. But Komarov was already in orbit. He would make 18 revolutions around Earth, each one a battle with machines that no longer listened. After nearly a day in orbit, the situation became unsustainable. With power fading and controls unreliable, ground command ordered re-entry. Komarov prepared the capsule for descent. One final checklist, one final fight. As the Soyuz 1 plunged through the atmosphere, the parachute deployment sequence triggered, but the drogue chute tangled. The main chute failed to open. The reserve chute wrapped around the first. Komarov's capsule slammed into the steppe near Orenburg Oblast at over 600 kilometers per hour. The impact crushed it instantly. The wreckage ignited on contact, burning for hours. Villagers nearby saw the fireball streak across the dawn sky. When rescuers arrived, all that remained was a scorched sphere of metal. Vladimir Komarov, husband, father, pilot, hero, was gone. He became the first human being to die during a space mission. In the days that followed, the Soviet Union called Komarov a martyr of exploration, a victim of fate. But among engineers and fellow cosmonauts, the truth was bitter. They knew he had warned them. They knew the Soyuz wasn't safe. And they knew he had accepted the mission anyway, to protect others and preserve the dream of spaceflight. His funeral was televised across the USSR. His ashes were interred in the Kremlin Wall necropolis, alongside the nation's greatest heroes. During the ceremony, Yuri Gagarin stood silently, tears hidden behind dark glasses. Less than a year later, Gagarin himself would die in a plane crash, another casualty of the same relentless race for the stars. Komarov's death forced the Soviet program to stop and rebuild. Every spacecraft after Soyuz 1 carried improvements written in his blood. The next manned mission wouldn't launch for 18 months. the longest pause in Soviet spaceflight history. Today, Komarov's name is rarely spoken outside Russia. There's no Hollywood movie, no global tribute. But inside the walls of Star City, where cosmonauts train, his portrait hangs quietly. To every astronaut, from every nation, he represents something pure, the understanding that exploration is never safe, and progress is often paid for in courage. He could have refused. He could have walked away and lived a long, quiet life. Instead, he climbed into a machine he knew was broken, because loyalty, duty, and friendship mattered more than survival. Vladimir Komarov didn't die chasing glory. He died protecting someone he loved and reminding us that every giant leap begins with someone willing to fall. If this story moved you, take a moment to remember the men and women who risk everything for discovery. Subscribe to the channel for more true stories of human courage.